The Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development Act 2010, amongst other provisions, aims to promote ownership of marine vessels by Nigerian entities and deepen Nigerian manning of marine vessels with the goal of having at least 60% of marine assets in the hands of Nigerians. This goal is gradually being achieved with the $200 million Nigerian Content Intervention Fund that is being managed by the Bank of Industry on behalf of Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB. Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of BOI Impact, which is a continuation of our oil and gas intervention series that we started a few weeks ago when we featured Oil and Industrial Services Limited. I am Hadiza Olaoshibiko. On tonight's program, we shall be showcasing Oilserv Limited that is located in Port Harcourt, the River State capital. The company, which is an oil and gas pipeline facility firm, was incorporated in 1992 and commenced operations in 1995 with a mission to provide outstanding services to multinationals and local oil and gas companies. Oilserv has expanded its services beyond Nigeria to countries like Republic of Benin, Kenya and Ghana. With over 800 Nigerian workers, the company is also ISO 9001-2015 certified. We'll get to know more about the company in the course of the very interesting and eye-opening interview which I had with the chairman, Engineer Emeka Okosa. This will be after the break. Please stay tuned. Oilserv Limited is a leading provider of integrated engineering, procurement, construction, installation, and commissioning EPCIC services and complementary solutions across the asset and program life cycle within the onshore, offshore, and subsea market segment of the oil and gas sector. Oilserv Limited was incorporated in 1992 and commenced operation in 1995. Oilserv Limited group of companies are Oilserv Limited, Frazimes Engineering Limited, Fras Power Limited, Fras Oil Excel Farms Limited, and Crown Energy Resources Limited. In an interview with the chairman of the group, Engineer Emeka Okosa, he expatiated on how the company has pooled the expertise of highly qualified, experienced engineers, technicians, and other support personnel to provide total quality services to the multinationals, local oil and gas and power companies operating in Nigeria.
We started as a construction company, and then we grew to be the first indigenous EPC company. When you say EPC, it's Engineering, Procurement and Construction, which is an acronym for a type of project that you take as a turnkey project, all the way to maintenance also in some cases. We've grown to basically cover our activities across the IOCs, like the likes of Shell. We started our business working for Shell, building pipelines for Shell. And then we have grown to work for other IOCs like Total, like Chevron. We have also worked extensively for NNPC and these subsidiaries like NGC. You may wish to know that we have constructed more than 75 pipelines across the whole country, notably from the Niger Delta area all the way to the middle belt of Nigeria. And as we speak, we are commissioning the largest size gas pipeline, the OB3 gas pipeline system, which comprises of the pipeline itself and the gas treatment plant in Oben. And when you say OB3, it means starting from OBOB, OBF4, Obricon, all the way to Oben. So if you look at that, that has the largest size of any gas pipeline built in Nigeria, which is 48 inches diameter. We are commissioning that, and it has the capacity to take 2 billion standard cubic feet of gas a day. So basically, we are within the business of engineering.
He added that the company prides itself as one of the indigenous players that have filled the gap in the oil and gas industry.
When we came into this industry, there was little or no indigenous participation in this scope of activities. We came in as a pioneer, and it was based on the fact that I worked for Schlumberger internationally. I came back to Nigeria in 1993, actually, and then started setting up this business. And what has driven it is the whole idea of applying international standards in the oil industry, because oil industry operates on international standards. You can localize the standards. But then the indigenous capacity building is very crucial, because that was the main reason why I decided to leave my work and come back to Nigeria to build capacity, because I saw a huge amount of gap between what could be done by Nigerians and what was being done by Nigerians at the time. Today, we have been able to push and set up NCDMB, which was again is still based on the Logic Act, which set it up. To set up the Local Content Act, we lobbied for it using the Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria, PETAN, of which I'm a pioneer member. And then when you talk of building local capacity, it makes a lot of difference, because local capacity is the only way you indigenize the service delivery in the industry and keep value in Nigeria. If you are producing oil at 60 or paying for oil or getting oil bought at $60 a barrel, you may wish to know that the cost of producing this in terms of services can go between $15 to $20 a barrel, depending on the cost profile. That amount you look at and you say is $15 a barrel. That value, if you can localize it in Nigeria, it creates more developmental effects compared to the oil that we actually sell and take the gap there.
He also lauded the NCDMB and BOI for working in line with the Nigerian Oil and Gas Content Development Act 2010.
The bill is quite an excellent move. You may wish to know that, like I said, we looked at what we were doing from 1995, 96, 97, all the way to the early 2000s. And we felt that there was need to have a law backing that. Because if you look at the examples all over the world, look at Brazil, look at Indonesia, look at Algeria, look at Libya, they went through this process. And what has made it to be anchored and be driven in a manner that is sustainable is to have a law anchoring it. So we went for that law. It was good that the National Assembly, the House of Rep, and Senate bought into that, and we went on to help them to design that law. And we backed it up, all the hearings we attended. You may wish to know that I am personally instrumental to the sections that cover pipelines, especially in defining what aspect of pipelines, whether on land, swamp, or offshore, which ones should be done by Nigerians exclusively. I put the section in the law that insisted that land and swamp pipeline operations should be 100% Nigerian. So that has evolved. But today, I can tell you that I'm glad to see the management of NCDMB. Today is Simbi Wabote, who is the executive secretary. And he's done wonderfully well. I mean, he's taken over from where the other three previous ESs stopped, but he took it to a new level, and it's still continuing. So I can say the management of NCDMB to reflect the tenets of the law has been quite good. I encourage NCDMB to continue in that path. Of course, that's what has led to the liaison between NCDMB and Bank of Industry, for which we're here today.
Engineer Kosa explained further that the NCIF fund will enhance the company's employability and capacity building.
We also know that the only way to make that fund to be useful is to find a very well-managed way of deploying the funds to build capacity. What I've seen with the NCI fund is very clear. It's a very, very good mode of deploying these funds, taking a part of NCDF and domiciling it with Bank of Industry. Bank of Industry is in position to manage this. And I can tell you that when we applied, we knew what it would take to get it in terms of qualification. Service company, if you are not, you know, the bank cannot qualify you properly, which means you are credit worthy. If you're not credit worthy, you cannot get it because that requires placement of guarantee by the bank. Bank cannot guarantee a client that they are not comfortable with. So there is quite a high barrier to getting it, but that is useful because that is the only way that you can assure repayment. For us, we applied for it. Our own application was meant to have funds to add to the funds we are using for project delivery, and also to help us inject funds in our total basket of facilities. When you have the ability to finance your projects, it gives you also the possibility to increase your scope of activities. It gives you also the possibility to employ more. It gives you the possibility also to generate revenue by way of profits that will enable you to reinvest. So in terms of principle, that's what it's supposed to achieve. For Oilserv, it has helped us in having a provision of cheaper funds in our basket, which means it's reduced the cost of our financing. I mean, by the time you put it in the basket, where in some cases we are getting funds, US dollar funds at 11%, and then you're able to get a lower rate from the NCI fund. You mix it up, it drops your cost of funds. It gives you more room to operate, it gives you more room to employ. It was and is still today, we maintain 100% indigenous staffing. You may wish to know that Oilserv is quite large-sized by the standards of service companies. We employ from 400 to about 1,000. So with that level quantum of staff, you will see that talking about 100% indigenous employment, capacity employment, makes a lot of difference. We just got these funds a few months ago. We're in the process of starting up new projects, and starting up these new projects with cheaper funds enables us to hire more. That we keep to international standards. We have several standards. You can talk about API, you can talk about ASME, which is the International Mechanical Engineering Standard. You can talk of also ISO. Oilserv is one of the few companies that ISO qualified early enough. We have upgraded our ISO to ISO 9001, 2015. We have that, which is the latest. And also we are ISO 14000 qualified. So in terms of standard, all our staff, they follow this standard. We keep to this standard.
He also had this to say about BOI fund.
ACI fund, obviously, is a fund that has been set up and managed by Bank of Industry. The fund is coming from NCD-MB, from the NCDF, which is the fund that we all contribute, all the service companies, all the producing companies contribute into. What has gone on is that this NCI fund has made a difference because I'm aware that I know that it's a total of $200 million and is being deployed. The last I heard about it, most of it is already deployed. That attests to the fact that it's not a mirage. It was put in there by NCDMB and is being deployed adequately by Bank of Industry. Bank of Industry has got a good name in the banking industry. It's a development bank, and its activities have been quite good. I know of companies that have utilized the facilities from Bank of Industries to grow, not necessarily in the oil and gas industry. And I know that has made a lot of difference. On this particular case, I would say that the ES, Executive Secretary, Simbi Wabote, has consistently shown commitment to these funds, making sure these funds are available, pushing to make sure they are deployed. I can also say that we are confident. When we went to Bank of Industry, we are confident that Bank of Industry will handle it professionally. From our experience, we were not disappointed. We believe also that definitely in future we are looking for other opportunities to work more with Bank of Industry because that will help us to grow even more.
From all indications, it can be said that the company's vision to be the leading engineering, procurement, construction, installation, and commissioning firm in sub-Saharan Africa is being achieved. The establishment of the Nigerian Content and Intervention Fund by the Bank of Industry (BOI) and the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board (NCDMB) came at the right time, and indigenous companies like Oilserv are indeed better for it.
First thing, to be able to work in the oil and gas sector as a service provider, it's a given that you must meet a minimum standard because the oil and gas sector does not compromise on safety and also on standards. So for a minimum, you must meet that. The advantage the fund brings is to make them competitive in terms of cost. And don't forget, part of the strategy for the Honorable Minister is to reduce the cost of production because it is said that Nigeria has one of the highest cost of production per barrel. So in a way, this fund is also helping to drive down that cost to a large extent. But you must meet international standards before you do business with the oil and gas sector.
In an interview with the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Bank of Industry, Mr. Oluka Edekpiton, he explained that capacity development, employment generation, and reduction of foreign exchange are some of the advantages of the fund.
One of the things we look for when we analyze, the credit, this money that we are giving you, is it going to add value, capacity, employment, is key. What you are doing will let us not spend more foreign currency. For instance, some of the people that we finance, there are some services that they are able to provide in Nigeria now because they bought equipment to be able to do it. By being able to offer those services locally, that means that there is no need to demand for foreign exchange to pay foreign service providers. So they do that, we save foreign currency, we have employment, and there's capacity that we do, development.
He added that aside from the NCIF fund, the bank is also disbursing funds to interested entrepreneurs in the oil and gas sector.
The good news is that the Nigerian Content Development Board, wants to touch as many Nigerians in the oil and gas sector as possible. They have said to us that the $200 million is just the first tranche, the beginning, So if that money is exhausted, then they are able to replenish. In fact, our plan is that by next month latest, we'll have written asking for them to actually bring a second tranche because most of the funds will have been fully exhausted, At the same time, too, we also have some obligations, When we got the money, they said, look, Bank of Industry, we are giving you so much money. See how you can leverage on this money so that if we gave you $200 million, maybe you can turn that $200 million into $1 billion. And we are doing that. We are talking to them about financing the modular refineries. And there's a scheme we have come up with. So aside from the money that we are getting from them, we also are disbursing our own funds. So yes, between us and them, we can do more. So any Nigerian company in that sector, should not say, well, they're about to fully exhaust the money. I think we can still do more. Aside from what we are getting from the Nigerian Content Board, we at Bank of Industry, we are also disbursing money directly.
Welcome back. With favorable policies, diligent implementation, and strong commitment by stakeholders that all levels, the sky would just be the beginning for attaining our national developmental aspirations. For us at the Bank of Industry, in partnership with NCDMB, will continue to support all indigenous companies in the oil and gas sector to meet global best standards and ultimately increase their participation in that sector. If you're a player in the oil and gas industry and a contributor to the Local Content Fund, then this scheme is for you. I'm sure that Engineer Kosa was able to erase all your doubts about the fund. And like he also said, BOI's loans are to be paid back so that others can benefit. The fund is not a share of the proverbial national cake as some erroneously believe. Working together, we all can make this country great by playing our respective roles. Do not hesitate to visit our website for further information on the fund and how to access it. We'll also like to hear from you by way of feedback. It's on this note that we'll draw the curtains on this week's edition of BOI Impact. I am Hadiza Olaoshibikon. Good evening and have yourself an enterprising week. It's bye for now.
Have you ever imagined a time when you could apply for and get a loan from the comfort of your bedroom? Or prayed that the processing time was shorter? Well, it is now a reality with the fast and swift Bank of Industry real-time online loan application initiative.
The BOI online loan application portal is designed to deliver access and convenience to prospecting SME customers by ensuring that applicants need not have to physically visit the bank. Applicants simply have to submit all necessary documents via the online portal with the liberty to select their preferred BOI state office wherein their applications will be processed. How it works? Simply search the keyword Bank of Industry and download your mobile app from Play Store for Android users, BlackBerry App World for BlackBerry users, and Apple Store for iPhone users. Click on the Apply button. Click on Register to register your account. A verification link and tracking code will be sent to your registered email address. Click on the verification link to facilitate login. Once logged in, you can complete your application, submit, and click on Continue to start tracking your loan application. An email will be sent to your email address confirming receipt of the application. With this initiative, BOI has reduced its loan application and processing turnaround time. Start applying for your loan right away. Bank of Industry, transforming Nigeria's industrial sector.